conversation such that the person you're speaking to is willing to give you the attention, then you can build the conversation from there. Now, no, and I'm not talking about giving compliments, please, because that's absolutely one of the worst things to always depend on as a conversation starter. My name is Iyore. I've trained over 23,000 salespeople across 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UAE, Rwanda. I'm an author of several books and several programs on sales. I've been featured on lots of media platforms to talk about successful selling. I worked in an organization where I was the highest selling salesperson. I was able to bring in 21 HNIs to my organization in a single month. I also participated in a sales competition where I won, and I was sent for the World Cup for an all-expense paid trip. I also moved to another organization where I grew a portfolio of $3.5 million to $7 million in just 11 months. And I was in the papers talked about as a wonder kid. I'm going to talk to you today about what you can do to be able to start a sales conversation successfully. Now, in this particular training, the first aspect of this training will talk about the things you need to do to prepare to have an effective sales conversation. Then I'll end it with the mistakes to avoid. Just 3 core mistakes to avoid when it comes to having a perfect sales conversation or giving a perfect opening line. Now, in every endeavor, preparation is key. I'm aware that sometimes you meet prospects in places when you were not even prepared to meet them. Maybe you are hanging out somewhere with a few friends, maybe you're in church, maybe you're going on a walk, maybe you're on the beach, or you're in the gym, you're in the mall, watching a movie, shopping, and you see someone in the conversation and you want to start a conversation. The point is, you may not have been prepared to meet the prospect at that place. However, you should be prepared with what to say if you were to meet a prospect in a place you're not planning to meet them. And that's the kind of preparation I'm talking about. Now, there are 3 levels of preparation here. The first one is ensure that you know who your target audience is. Because you see, if you don't know who you're selling to at every point in time, you won't be able to present yourself to them in the best way possible. Now, I'm aware that there are different kinds of products, different kind of salespeople listen to this program. For some salespeople, their product is actually applicable to everybody. For some, their product is not applicable to everybody. It's only tagged to a certain people, to a certain type of person. For example, I'm aware of a business who sells cakes, and all they do is sell cakes to women. So because they are targeting women, if they got to a place and they wanted to start a conversation and they saw a man, they may not move that conversation in that direction because it's a man towards sales. They will probably, except they want to, of course, sell to the man so you can introduce them to the wife to sell to or something. But generally, my point is, if your product is specified to an individual, meaning only a type of person can use it, that even makes it more important for you to have your target audience. Now, I don't want you to also fall into the trap to think that because everybody can be blessed and can use your products, you now decide that I sell to everybody. Big mistake. The reason why niching is important is because it does something to your mind. There's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is a part of the brain that helps you identify what is most important to you at every point in time. If you wanted to get a green Corolla, you wanted to buy a brand new green Corolla, you'll notice that everywhere you go, you start to see a green Corolla because of the reticular activating system. So I want you to take advantage of the reticular activating system such that everywhere you go, quickly you'll be able to spot your prospects even before they recognize you or even before you're pressured to try to roll out a conversation. So choosing a target audience, it just requires you to make decisions. Great salespeople make decisions very quickly. Poor salespeople make decisions very slowly. And after they make those decisions very slowly, they change their minds very quickly. But great salespeople, they make decisions quickly, they change their minds slowly. Because they know that choosing a target audience is the first thing to begin from. So begin with that. If you have the right target audience you're focusing on, it will affect your opening line. Because your opening line could then begin with how you help your target audience achieve their desires. Now, if you don't mention the target audience, somebody says, but what if I'm talking to somebody and I say things like, oh, I help business owners or I help entrepreneurs, and the person is an employee. At least you have been able to identify who you are. You see, there is something about somebody who is a general specific and not a wandering generality. What am I trying to say? There's something about somebody who is an expert or is specialized in something. Somebody who is specialized in something is always more attractive than somebody who is generalized and doesn't stand for anything. So you want to stand for something. You want to let it be that the person knows that, oh, this guy, this is what he does, this is what he's good at. That you're trying to start a conversation with someone doesn't necessarily mean that the way of that conversation must be that the person will do business with you at that point in time. Sometimes you start a conversation because you want to build that relationship, such that you want to make sure that you find a way to be helpful to that person. Because you see, when you're helpful to somebody you meet for the first time, chances are the person will be more open to help you as well. When we talk about networking isn't just meeting people and exchanging business cards. Networking is meeting people, finding out what they do, and how you can be of help to them. That's the first thing to think about. So don't introduce yourself, and when introducing yourself, you're only thinking about how to close. Introduce yourself. Be a specialist in something based on the fact that, oh, I help this particular target audience, or I help this kind of people. Focus on that. Then you'll be more attractive when you meet people for the first time. The second thing is that you want to do your research on your target audience, right? You know who you're targeting. Maybe you're targeting medical doctors, for example. You want to do your research. What is happening right now in the medical industry? Because that can be a basis upon which if the person says, oh, you introduce yourself and you say, oh, I help medical doctors, and the person says, oh, really? Wow, so how are you coping with this issue concerning, and you're not even aware of that issue, and it's been trending in the news, it could make you look like you're not very intelligent. So I want you to make sure that when you choose your target audience, from time to time, it may be daily, it may be bi-weekly, maybe every 3 times a week, do some research about that target audience so that you have information at the tip of your lips on what is happening in that target audience. The third thing to finally do to prepare, to be able to have great sales conversations or to start sales conversations, is to have the law of rejection in mind, right? The law of rejection states that being comfortable with rejection is the beginning of success in selling. Only hurting people hurt others. Don't think that because you met someone for the first time and you said hello, you greeted the person is compelled to respond to you. No, he or she is not compelled to respond to you. But one thing I know is this: great people who are well-to-do, they value relationships. So when you meet somebody and you can tell that the person is open for a conversation, ready to speak with you, you can tell that the person is of high value. But somebody who just feels like, who are you to talk to me? Yes, do I know you? That can show you the kind of person you're dealing with. So I want you to be prepared for rejection. You see, everybody goes through rejection. And in most cases, nobody really outgrows it, per se. Nobody really outgrows it and says, oh, I passed that level, I don't face rejection anymore. Everybody does. But how people perceive it, how people manage it, is what really counts at the end of the day. I remember I was watching a program the other day, and a lady says, wow, I feel so tense, I feel so pressured. And the mentor who was working with her says, oh, that's good. That's a sign that you care. Lovely. I love that. So in her mind, she felt pressure, but the person says, oh, that's a sign that you care. You see, his interpretation of her pressure was, oh, you care. So what's your interpretation of a rejection? Could it be that, wow, oh, okay, that's fine. At least it shows that I'm doing something. I'm heading closer to my objective. Because it's direct correlation between the amount of rejection you face and the amount of sales results you produce. More rejection, more sales. Low rejection, low sales. So how often are people telling you, I'm not interested, I'm not ready to go ahead, we'll get back to you? How often are you hearing that? If you're not hearing it often enough, it means you may not be doing enough. So let your rejection experience let you have an idea of how much effort you're putting in. Because at the end of the day, in all labor, there's profits, and nature responds to hustle. So these are the 3 things you want to make sure that you do to prepare to have a great opening conversation. Making sure that you choose your target audience or your niche, making sure you do your research on your niche, and making sure that you're prepared for the inevitable, which is rejection. Now, these are the 3 mistakes most people make when it comes to presenting or giving an opening line. The first one is not preparing to have a planned way to introduce themselves. Most times, a lot of people, they don't plan how they're going to introduce themselves. In their minds, they just feel like they can wing it. And that's where this whole idea of giving compliments comes in. I'm not against you giving compliments. If you've seen something genuinely nice, genuinely beautiful, somebody genuinely good looking, or well dressed, if you've seen the things that you really like genuinely, then you should be able to give the compliment. That's fine, because it's that way, it's genuine. But you cannot now, that's your strategy be that, oh, let me look for something to compliment. Let me look for something to compliment. It will just look so salesy and so funny, you know. So make sure that whatever, if you want to use compliments, let it be something that really got your attention. And you'll find out that your emotion, your expressions will let the person know that, wow, this guy is really saying the truth. So don't just plan to wing the conversation. Have a planned opening line. I remember I was flying the business class cabin, and I there was can you imagine? I had paid to fly business class. In my mind was that I wanted to go prospecting, right? Only for me to get into that business class cabin, and that day we were only two. So I couldn't network, only two people. And because we were only two, I couldn't just get in and go and sit next to the man. And the man also couldn't just come in and come and sit next to me. So I was seated in one corner, he was seated in another corner in the cabin there. So thankfully, when we arrived in our location, we were the first to be taken off the tarmac to get our luggage. And while we were standing there, I was with him. So of course, I was standing by my side. Now he was genuinely dressed properly, sharply dressed, black pants, light blue blazer, like a polka dots bow tie, sharply shoe, look brand new, perfectly dressed. And I said, "Oh, sir, you're looking sharp." He says, "Oh, I like your bag too, looking very nice." Meaning that my dress was also perfect. That's why I saw it. But he said, "Oh, I like your bag too, looking very nice." I says, "Oh, not." So I think I asked, "What do you do?" Or he asked me, "What do I do?" Then I had my opening line ready, and then my opening line was, "I help clients multiply revenue." Now, how did I find this opening line? Apparently, I have been using different opening lines, but I've been seeing the responses. You see, you don't get an opening line just by deciding that this is my opening line. You get your opening line through experimentation. So this means you should be willing to try out different opening lines and notice the responses. For example, I remember talking to someone, and he told me that his opening line is, "I specialize in helping clients get properties with helipads." Can you think about that? Was a real estate person. That was his opening line. And he said he used that because it's always got people's attention. I heard somebody else say something like bulletproof cars or bulletproof devices, just to try and get the prospect's attention. So what's your opening line? The options are too many. You can even decide to use a question. Oh, we don't want to know why. We don't want to know how we're able to achieve. So your opening line may not even be so tied to your product per se. But the point is that you want you to be able to get the prospect's attention. I've told you the ones that some of our clients normally would use. They will say things like, "Oh, good afternoon, my name is what I work with. I help my clients, we help provide our clients with transformational solutions. We've done this for," mention a certain number of people, or a certain number of clients, or a type of clientele, or the niche that they've done it for. And we're going through our records and we realize we haven't done it for you. Can we set up meetings so we can walk you through what we've done for most of our clients? So use an opening line. When you use the opening line, set up the meeting. Don't use the opening line and try to sell. Use the opening line, then set up a meeting for further conversation. Then another thing is that another mistake a lot of people make when it comes to starting a sales conversation is they don't present themselves in the best way possible. I remember I traveled to Ibadan for some work, and while I'm there, I'm trying to find my way to the venue of this job I was to do. So I stop at a particular place, get out of the car, then somebody walks up to me. I was wondering, he was so poorly dressed. So poorly dressed. In fact, I was even thinking, hope it was not her. He just walked up to me and said, "Hello, good afternoon," and stretched his hand. And I said, "Yes. How can I help you, please? Have I met you before?" Why did I respond that way? Because of how he looked, how he dressed. And when he started speaking, I realized that he was actually okay. So sometimes, if you don't present yourself in the best way possible, it will be difficult for the opening line to come out right. There was a day I was with a friend of mine, we were at a coffee shop, and a lady was trying to drive in, and she was honking her horn because she was wondering why we were blocking her or not allowing her pass, or her car was in a particular driveway, not allowing her get in. So she got so upset and said some wrong things. Then when she got in and she met us and she says, "Where are you people who blocked the way?" She says, "Why would you guys do that?" You know. But when she saw the way we were dressed, you could tell that she calmed down. Then we ended up setting up a meeting with her and ended up doing some business with her. So just think about the fact that if we didn't dress properly, it may have just been awkward. Even though things didn't start out right, but things ended well because of how we presented ourselves. So how you present yourself when it comes to starting a conversation matters so much. Then finally, another mistake people make is that they don't make reference to who they've done business with. Make reference to your existing clients or who you served. So I want to start a great sales conversation. I want to create a strong opening line. I want to give you my I want to make sure I'm dressed properly. I want to have a planned opening line. I want to make sure I'm dressed properly. Then I want to talk about who I've served. If you do these things, you can engage any client and you engage them successfully. Thank you so much for watching today's session. Please remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share this video with others, and please do enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.